everyone. So if you haven't guessed from the musical intro and the title, we're going to be talking about. Whoops! Hold on. I just got an advert. Such a good intro, and then ruined by some advert starting up. I better make sure I close all these windows now. So yeah, I obviously, it's not obvious, but I do have Andy with me. Hi, Andy.
Hello, and hello everybody in the chat, and thanks for having me, Adam.
Of course. Well, we're going to talk about a topic very close to our hearts, and I know we tried to have a stream about this before, and we were a little bit more disorganised.
We're always disorganised.
Well, we are always fairly disorganised, but we've actually done a little bit of prep work for this one and had a big think, so we've got a lot of things to talk about, because even though you don't like to admit it as much, I mean, you're always saying, I could go out and I could do something, or I could do something else and not play video games. You still play video games, so you can't say you're not a gamer.
Oh, not at all, no. I've just, without going into this too much, I just find as you get older, I don't like them as much as I used to, but obviously I've always been an avid gamer. There's no denying that.
Well, you see, and I think as we go through the games we talk about, and maybe it's with the evolution of games as well, but for me, it's only been in the last few years where I've gone from a casual to a more hardcore gamer. I've always had an interest in computer games, but I've never, like playing them and completing them was never really my goal. Even as a kid, I remember a daughter of a family friend telling me, like, she had a Mega Drive as well at the same time I did, and she was like, my mum won't let me get a new game till we complete one. And I was like, what? I wouldn't ever get a new game. I never complete any game I've got. Looking back, maybe I was just, I dipped into things and I completed Sonic, but everyone could complete Sonic. But anyway, we won't go too deep into those things before we talk about them. But yeah, I think it's only been over the last few years that I've become knowledgeable enough to understand you can get something good out of playing a computer game to beginning to end. Some of them have amazing, especially these days, have incredible storylines and things you just wouldn't expect. But we wanted to talk about this in a kind of chronological order. So we're going to be going back to starting with our earliest games. I mean, and I think I've written one of them down here, which is the earliest game I can remember playing, but I'm going to ask that to you first, Andy. What is the earliest sort of any kind of evolution, anything that could have been considered a computer game at the time?
You know what, this is going to sound a bit like obvious, but I genuinely think the first game I ever remember playing was Space Invaders on a tabletop computer. So it was like a coffee table, but it was a computer screen with one player at either side. That's the first one I remember playing. But as a home game, I used to have what was it? Was it a Commodore VIC-20?
Do you not mean this Commodore 64?
No, there was the Commodore VIC-20 was the one before it, which was even shitter. And used to
wow.
It used to have a cassette tape attachment to the keyboard, and also used to put cartridges in the back of it as well.
Yeah, no, the C64 had the tape to the keyboard as well. I remember the loading noise so well. Well, that's a bad impression, but
no, I think that was reasonably good, to be honest. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, yeah. It was the same. We used to, when we was at school, we used to copy pirate games off each other. So you would you used to get them stereos with two tape decks in.
Yeah, but you could do that. You used to get the magazines with the free tape on the front, and then like one mate would buy it, and everyone could just get it, and it had like 4 games on it.
Oh yeah, some of them games, you've just made me realise that some of them games are actually decent. I used to spend ages on them.
Because it's so long ago, like the C64 games and that, and I might have even confused when writing my list of games, some that I played on the C64 with other gaming machines, but to talk about my earliest gaming memory is actually, I don't know if you could even consider it a game, but it was on the RM Nimbus computer, which all the schools had. And like when schools didn't have computer rooms and IT labs and things like they do now, the school had one computer, and it was the RM Nimbus. It was like the first computer you could ever get. But my mum was a librarian at a school, and so she like ended, when they were upgrading, they ended up bringing one of these RM Nimbuses home. And I thought this game was called Worms, but actually when I was looking for the thumbnails for this stream, there's a picture of an RM Nimbus, and you might see it come up in the thumbnails, and it says Train on it, and I think that might have been the game, but it was basically the very first incarnation of the Snake game on the Nokia phone that everyone was mental about for a long time. But it was before, and you would like collect numbers, and the number you collected, your tail would grow or your train would grow by that amount of numbers, and you just use the arrow keys to move it around the screen and try not to go off the edge. But it was, I even remember at the time being a bit disappointed, like, wow, this is a computer game, this isn't as good as computer games could be.
Yeah, I think, yeah, but at the time, some of the games you were like, I remember when they used to load up on we had a Spectrum 128 Plus, and they used to load up, the screens used to load up, and it used to be like a digitized picture, so it was like a genuine photograph. And I used to be amazed at this picture. I was like, wow, look, a real picture on a computer game. It's just crazy how much it's come on.
So what's the first game like you ever remember really getting into on the
I can't remember what it was called. I think it was called Rat Race on the Commodore. And basically you was a mouse running around a maze, and you used to have to get cheese, and you'd pick up little magic things, and I'm sure it was called Rat Race. Does that ring any bells?
Not for me it doesn't, but I'm sure it existed. I watched...
I'm going to Google it as we're speaking. What was the first game you got into?
Well, I'd say my brother had the Amiga 500, and that was I have very vague memories of playing things like Ghostbusters on the Commodore 64, but I can't remember any game that like really stood out on there. But when we got the Amiga 500, there was a few games. And actually, as I was writing this list out earlier, I was like, oh, this might explain why I absolutely cane everyone at GTA Racing all the time, because a lot more car games... Well, you have to admit I'm pretty fucking good at GTA Racing.
You do alright, yeah.
But yeah, like the first game I wrote down, I'd played probably Outrun on the C64, but the first like proper car game I got into was Lotus Esprit Turbo Challenge. And that, I don't know, the graphics at the time were really good. You got to drive if I remember correctly, and obviously I'm trying to draw memories from a long time ago, but you got to choose between like a Lotus Elan or a Lotus, another one from the time, I can't even remember what the other one was. The game was just really cool. But we had that, and we had another driving game on the Amiga. I had to do some research to remember what it was today. But it was a driving game called... hold on. I'm sure I wrote it down, and now I've lost it. Or was it Lotus? It wasn't Lotus Esprit... No, it was Supercars 2. It was cool.
What was this on?
This was on the Amiga 500 as well, but Supercars 2 was a bird's eye view game. It was like a precursor to Micro Machines. And but the cool thing about it was, like, between each race, you would have to have like an interview with a reporter or with your sponsor and stuff, and you could choose to either be like polite, or you could choose to be like sort of a bit in the middle, or you could choose to like be really cocky and edgy. I was like it was that bit of the game I remember being like really impressed with, like, yeah, I can win these races and then I can be a real twat about it. I really enjoyed that in Supercars too. And like some of the answers were really quite weird, but brilliant at the same time. And that game, that like the driving of Lotus Esprit was the first game I really remember, but the getting into the character side of things was Lotus Esprit Turbo Challenge. I think the reason as well, like driving games were accessible for me because I was always a casual gamer. But there was, do you remember, did you ever play Gauntlet?
It rings a bell.
It was the one you got to choose to be like a wizard, an elf, like a sexy bikini-clad lady with a big axe, or like a warrior guy.
Like Streets of Rage.
Oh, well, Streets of Rage I've got.
Oh, God, you're not thinking of Golden Axe?
Oh, yes, I'm thinking of Golden Axe. But Gauntlet it was a different game, wasn't it? But yeah, you've corrected me there. I apologise. I am thinking of Golden Axe.
So you should be as well.
That game's awesome. And that one I was so sure about in my head when I wrote the list. I was like, oh yeah, that's called Gauntlet.
It's funny, me and my friend were talking about that the other week. I can't remember what prompted us to talk about it, but we remember that Golden Axe where you had to kick the shit out of the little elves to get the magic potions.
Yeah.
That used to run on the screen, and you could, like you said, you could have a pick the warrior guy, the sexy girl, or the little guy with the axe.
Yeah, exactly. But that game was awesome. And there was other games. Speedball 2 Brutal Deluxe. Did you ever play that?
Yeah, I wasn't quite as into it, but yeah.
See, that game I loved because it was just really violent, but not violent because it was these 16-bit 8-bit pixels probably at the time, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, fucking hell. I mean, I'm just googling them now as we speak. I had a Spectrum as the second one, I think it was. And I was always jealous because my mate, who lived a few doors up, he had a better one than me. He had the one with the disc drive built in, and I just had this shitty fucking tape one.
See, the Amiga, I think it was after the Spectrum, and those games were pretty good. Because I got another couple written. Flashback and Another World were two games I really enjoyed.
Oh, they were awesome. Flashback, what an amazing game.
When you have to, that's the one where you swing from the rope and stuff, isn't it?
And you, am I thinking of the one where you use the transporters as well?
In fact, no, I'm confusing Flashback with Another World, but both of them I played, but I only have very vague memories of. But I remember sort of enjoying, but getting stuck at them at points. That's where I got this bad habit of never completing computer games, because any game that wasn't a sports game, I always got to a point where I just couldn't get any further. And it wasn't like these days where you could just go on YouTube and see someone else doing it.
Yeah, that's true.
It was different, and I think that's why I lost my patience with a lot of what were very good games and never actually got to the end.
To be honest, I was quite a bit like that. By the time it'd get to the end, I'd be like, well, I've seen and done everything now. I don't need to complete the final mission.
Well, yeah, but I would just get to some point in a game and I'd be like, if it was like, say, an RPG or a platform, or a difficult platformer, then I'd get to a point I'd be like, well, I can't do it, so I'm going to give up.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So,
where do we go next on our...
Well, did you ever have one of the sort of original handheld consoles? Wait, before
Sega Game Gear.
Before we even go there, I had an original handheld game, not a console. I had the Donkey Kong LED game.
I remember
the precursor to Mario. That was actually brilliant. My parents bought it for me, I think, when we were on holiday or something. And they were like, well, that keeps him quiet. Now, that game I could play for hours and hours. Because the end was always just in sight if you got over all the barrels.
Yeah, there used to be quite a lot of those, didn't there?
Well, I think Donkey Kong was the big one though, wasn't it? It was like the famous one. It was the orange one. It was the precursor to like all the Nintendo Mario series.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about those little things. And I suppose they came before the handheld consoles, didn't they?
Yeah.
I think the Game Boy was the first proper home handheld thing, wasn't it?
It was, but I never owned a Game Boy. Like, I played Tetris on my friends' Game Boys, and I played Mario on that, but I never owned one, so I never really got into the whole Nintendo universe.
It's funny seeing some of the things flash up on the pictures, and Atari Lynx, my friend had one of those. I never had a... Do you remember the Panasonic 3DO?
No, but it rings a bell.
Yeah, it was like a failed console from like... fucking hell, it must have been the late 90s or something like that.
Well, see, I went down all the failed console routes because I had an Atari Lynx as well.
Skeletons has just said I had a Game Gear and a shitload of AA batteries. Yeah, you had to put batteries in the fucking thing. I had a Game Gear and I used to love it. I had Sonic on it, and even I don't think I got Golden Axe, but I did get some good games on it.
See, I had the Atari Lynx because it was everyone had the Game Boy or the Game Gear, and they were like, Atari Lynx is 16-bit, and I was like, and we went to America when I was quite young.
It was 32.
No, I think on the picture does it not say 16? I'm sure it was 16.
Oh, you might be right.
And but I went to America and convinced my parents that they needed to buy me one because it'd be much cheaper in America. So they bought me this Atari Lynx, and it came with California Games, which was fucking amazing.
Is that the picture that you can see on the ones that you put up, where it's like the surfing?
Yeah, it had surfing, BMX, hacky sack, and volleyball. It had 4 like California style games on it. It was awesome. That's probably part of the reason I became obsessed with skateboarding and BMXing during my life. So you say video games don't, they make you stay in and not do things for your life. I would have never got an interest in skateboarding or BMXing if I hadn't started playing that game.
Well, it saved me from a rather boring few years, to be honest, playing some of these things.
Well, and I think it was... I've never been a fan of RPGs. I never got into like Zelda or anything like that.
No, me neither.
But I had Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure on the Lynx, and just because it was such a great RPG, like I loved just travelling through time on Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and you'd go to one time zone, you'd be like, oh shit, I need the stone from ancient Egypt, so you'd have to travel back to ancient Egypt, and that game was cool, but actually looking back it was probably quite a shit game. I just loved Bill and Ted, so I really loved that game.
I don't remember that.
Oh, I think unless you had an Atari Lynx, you would have never... I mean, there were some good games on it, like the 16-bit version of Paperboy was fantastic, and Batman Returns and Pit Fighter were both...
Batman Returns was awesome.
Yeah, well, I had that on the Atari Lynx, so imagine at the time when everyone's playing it, it looks shit, and I'm playing it in colour 16-bit.
So what was the first console you had?
The first console I had, and I talked about this story a bit about like when we talked about some Christmas stuff, but the first console I had was the Mega Drive, because I begged my parents for it, and then they told me I wasn't going to get it for Christmas, and then like for Christmas they never put the big presents under the tree until like the night before. So then when I woke up in the morning and I opened up and there was a Mega Drive, I was like, yeah, wow. But it kind of changed the whole landscape of Christmas for me, because after that it was always like, I got a new game, I'm going to go and play my new game.
You know, it's funny, that's exactly what happened to me. I had a Game Gear before I had a Mega Drive, and then I thought, I need a Mega Drive, and I got one because everybody at school had one, and it was the cool thing to have. It was like, wow, you've got a Mega Drive. Because there was a Master System, but obviously that was the shit one, wasn't it?
Well, a lot of people loved it. I mean, it did have Mario Kart. You've got to get like. I always had a great time going to friends' houses and playing Mario Kart, and you've got to give props to the games that sort of bring people together. Like Mario Kart was a fantastic two-player game. You could sit and
Mario
play your
Kart
mates
on
in
the
it.
on the Master System? I don't think so.
On the SNES, on the Super Nintendo, the Super Nintendo was the same time as the Mega Drive.
Yeah, but I said the Sega Master System. That's what I meant. It was like the shitter version of the Mega Drive.
Oh, that came first. Yeah, no, sorry, I didn't have the Master System. I think I played a few. That was like with Alex the Kid and games like that. No.
Yeah, Alex the Kid in Miracle World, Altered Beast.
But no, I had the Mega Drive first, and the Mega Drive was a bit. I don't know. Looking back, like I mean, Sonic was fantastic. Oh
Yeah,
no! I tell you what, I did love on the Mega Drive, and it was so good. Two-player Road Rash. Road Rash was one of the best games ever.
It was a good. I had Road Rash. I think it was one of the games that I owned because I used to rent a lot of games out.
Yeah.
There used to be a place near where I lived, and there was a big sort of craze at the time of renting games out. So I used to rent Mega Drive games because there were some good ones and some terrible ones.
Yeah, we used to rent the occasional game, but I think more often I own it. Well, like Road Rash, I owned that game. Like you had to own that game. It was so amazing. You could play against your mate, and you could like literally whip each other with chains whilst riding on motorbikes.
Yeah, it was good fun.
And even the single player career mode, if I remember, was kind of cheesy but kind of cool as well. That was one of my most favourite games of being young.
Yeah, I think my favourite, the biggest game for me, as far as hype and everybody wanting to play it of that era, was Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, well, yeah, Street Fighter 2, but again, that was a Nintendo game, wasn't it? And I think Mortal Kombat was on or I only had Mortal Kombat, but I didn't own Street Fighter. That was a game I played at mates' houses.
It was a game made by Capcom, and it was first out on the Super Nintendo, which was a better machine than the Mega Drive. But after a little bit, it came out on the Mega Drive. But Street Fighter 2 was just something everybody fucking loved it. Everybody in school, it was like, and then they brought out Street Fighter 2 Turbo with extra characters in, and it was just a craze. And
I think a lot of fighting games were like that though. But my issue with fighting games is that in a lot of them there was always one character that no one could beat. Like Street Fighter, you had that green fella.
Oh, that what do you mean, that green fella? Blanca?
Yeah. He'd just destroy everyone. And then there was like, what game was it? Was it Tekken? There was one Tekken that had this like break dancer in it.
Break dancer?
Yeah.
Oh, DJ. He wasn't hard to be. He was rubbish.
We had to ban people from being him because you just did the leg kick dance move.
Oh, you must have been shit, you lot.
Yeah, right. I think
he was bobbins, that guy.
I think you're not thinking of the same person. The black guy with the afro.
Yeah, was it DJ? I know exactly what you mean. It wasn't any good.
Not if you knew how to use him, you could destroy everyone. Maybe it was just my mate saying to me, "Can you please stop using him?"
Tekken, though. I mean, we're jumping ahead a bit, but
yeah. Sorry.
We'll get back to that later. But yeah, as far as that era went, it was like, do you remember Streets of Rage on the Sega as well?
Yeah, and Streets of Rage 2.
Streets of Rage 2 was revolutionary.
Well, the kid had roller skates on. Fucking hell.
It was like, it was just a great fucking game. That it was probably ahead of its time. Streets of Rage 2.
Yeah, well, was it ahead of its time? It was quite similar to Streets of Rage 1.
There was something better about it with regard to Streets of Rage 2. The sound effects were a lot better. The level design was better. It was just a much better game. The first one was very simplistic. The graphics weren't very good, and I just thought Streets of Rage 2 just took it to a whole new level. Really, that's what I thought.
Yeah, you don't get games like that anymore, where you just run down the street beating everyone up who gets in your way.
It's a good point. That you don't get like side scrolling beat 'em up, is what it used to be. You still get Tekken. There's a new Tekken out, but because me and my mates don't get together that often because we're older, we don't really get the chance to do it as much. But yeah, fucking hell, what an awesome game that was.
Did you ever play Aladdin on the Mega Drive?
I don't know.
See, I really enjoyed it. It looked good for its time. It looked really good, and of course it had the Aladdin soundtrack playing in the background, so it was win-win.
Trying to think. So what else was there around about that time? Madden 92 was a big game for me.
What, the American football game?
Yeah, because I've always been a big rugby fan. I remember reading the reviews and they said that Madden 92 is amazing, and it was like known to be the best Mega Drive game ever for quite a long time.
I remember a few of my mates had it, but it was always like, well, it's American football. I've got no interest in that. I mean, I played like sensible soccer or whatever. I never really played at football games when I was younger, though. Micro Machines was a fantastic game on the Mega Drive. But again, it's more driving games from my side.
Yeah, there you go again. I didn't play much of that.
You could have 4 players. We had 4 controllers for that, and because you could buy this adapter you plugged into the controller port. It's ridiculous to think now, isn't it? You had to buy an adapter you put into the controller port, which then gave you 4 controller ports, so you could put 4 controllers into the Mega Drive, and then you could, I think I'm right in saying this, I might just have imagined this, but I'm pretty sure it was, but then you could have like 4 people playing Micro Machines, and it was awesome because you were all smashing each other off the track and stuff. That was such a cool game, and again it looked really good because of like you were driving around these surfaces that are like kitchen tables, so you've got all the debris of like fried eggs and frying pans and plates and cutlery, and you have to avoid it and jump over it and stuff. Micro Machines was a great game.
No, it was a good game. Trying to think, what was the other best games on the Mega Drive? Do you remember like there's add-ons that you could put on the Mega Drive 32X as well? It's like an add-on that you stuck into it to make it more powerful.
Oh, I think I remember reading about that in like Mega Drive magazine or something, but I never got it.
No, I didn't either. I'll tell you what I did have I lent it off a mate of mine for quite a while. Mega CD.
What's that?
Do you not remember that?
No Mega CD?
It was a CD drive. Ouch.
What the fuck? Are you alright?
I keep getting shooting pains in my foot because I twatted it the other day. What was I saying?
I've got an inflamed shoulder. You've got shooting pains in your foot.
Yeah, but mine was for a genuine accident, not because I'm like old and decrepit.
Alright, fair enough. Yeah, an accident.
Yeah. What was I saying?
Fluffing.
Oh, the Mega CD. It was a CD-ROM drive. Thank you, Skeleton Sideskip, for a CD-ROM drive for the Mega Drive. It was fucking pointless, but it did enable a bit more.
No, I remember this. I remember this now. There were some games that used like real video clips in them.
Yeah, there was one called, I can't even remember what it's called, but it was the girl out of Different Strokes who starred in it. It was like some kind of murder mystery thing, and the only reason I remember her being in it is because I know she committed, I'm sorry to be so morbid, but she committed suicide
Is it,
like,
am I right?
Night Trap, Death Camp, thank you, my friend.
Yeah, Night Trap. Isn't it? Wasn't it? It was a bit pervy, and you like got to see her in her underwear and stuff.
Yeah, it was a bit like, yeah, it was probably pretty terrible. I never bought it or had it, but I do remember getting a bit excited because I was a young kid, 10-year-old, thinking,
oh yeah,
that fit bird out of Different Strokes is in it,
Oh, I've never seen Different Strokes, but I remember seeing the advert and going, oh, you get to see a girl with not many clothes on. I need this game, but I never got the thing.
Yeah, it was. But they brought Sonic CD out, which had no. It seemed to have no purpose for the Mega Drive other than a bonus round where it was a little bit Mario Kart-esque in the bonus round of the games, and the music for Sonic CD was fucking brilliant. If anybody ever get, and nobody's going to do this right, but if you ever get a minute, stick Sonic CD soundtrack on YouTube. The music is fucking amazing. I still remember the melodies to this day. It's quite remarkable. But yeah, it had a short-lived lifespan, did the Mega CD.
Yeah, well, I never got it. One other game I wanted to mention while we're in the Mega Drive era, though, is... And the thing is, it was shit. I knew it was shit at the time, and probably no one else has played it. But it was a game called Cool Spot, and it was basically one big advert for 7-Up. But it was pretty... I don't know. It was pretty fun. You were just like this kind of red circle floating up through a 7-Up bottle, and yeah. And then you went to different sort of locations in these 7-Up bottles. I can't remember it very clearly now. I remember looking back and sort of going, like, it looked really cool, just the colours appealed to me. But it cost a lot of money, and it was probably the first time where I really bought into the system of computer games. Like, okay, this has got bad reviews, but it looks nice, so I'm just going to play it. But I didn't not enjoy it. That's the thing, from the lasting memory of it. I can't remember the game, but I remember my overall feeling was like, well, it wasn't the worst game I've played. But I suppose I was a kid. I didn't actually pay for it. My parents did.
I used to get like spending money off my grandmother and very fucking little off my parents, which I'll never forgive them for. And I used to save up every fucking penny of my spends just to spend on computer game magazines. That's all I spent my money on, like computer game magazines and fucking renting the games out. That's all my fucking life consisted of. Pretty sad, really, but I'm sure I wasn't the only one.
Well, no, I remember buying a lot of computer game magazines when I was younger, but they always came with like a free... I don't think like the Mega Drive games came with free cartridges and things though, or did they?
No, they didn't. But there was cool stuff in them. You used to get free gifts and stuff. But I remember, and it was on the Mega Drive, I remember getting ridiculously excited at the first ever, I think it was the first ever FIFA game. And it was just called FIFA Soccer. And it was revolutionary at the time. And I remember going into the local newsagents and seeing the review of it, and they had like a full page spread where it showed the entire pitch. And I remember playing it for the first time and thinking back, I'm thinking, oh shit, that game was, because you couldn't head a ball, there was no heading, there was no volleys. It was just, and there was only 2 passes. There was a long ball, which was also shoot, and short pass, and that was it. You're just thinking, how can you play a game like that?
Well, do you remember Sensible Soccer? That was a cool top-down football game.
That was FIFA International Soccer '96. That was on the. That will have been on the PlayStation though, Darth. Yeah, Sensible Soccer was great because that was an Amiga game as well, though. That was more for that kind of platform, the Amiga, because there was a lot of Amiga players at my school, I remember.
Well, the first soccer game, like 3D soccer game, I remember playing. I think it was some demo that maybe came with the PlayStation 1 or something. It wasn't FIFA. But man, I played the hell out of that demo, but I never bought the game. I was just like, this is great, this 3D soccer game.
Oh yeah, it's revolutionary. I can say it like.
Or football game.
Amelia's just
I
said,
don't know why
I
keep
can
saying
relate,
soccer.
and he saved up all the pocket money for the first Sims game. I mean, I'm not being funny, Amelia, but
Well,
did anybody else like the Sims? I couldn't get my head around it.
Well, the thing is, and actually, it's gonna bring me on to a game that I think we're both gonna have a lot to talk about.
Don't jump the timeline, Adam.
It's not. It won't be really. Because we're on the Mega Drive already. We're coming to the end of the Mega Drive cycle.
Yeah.
And the Sims, I get why it had a female fan base. The Sims is probably one of the main reasons that girls were able to get into games, but the Sims, you can draw a parallel with a game that engulfed a lot of my life. But obviously it was football based in Championship Manager, because around that time that everyone was getting their Mega Drives and PlayStation 1s was when my mate Callum, his parents had a nice PC, and he had a PC. Yeah, he had one before my house did. I mean, we'd had the RM Nimbus, but that was long gone. You know, it couldn't connect to the internet. So yeah, they had this PC, and he showed me, my mate Callum, I think I was about 13 or 14. I just met him because he was a year younger than me at school, but we both went to drama club. Anyway, and we both liked football, but weren't like jock football players at our schools, but we both were into the technical side of football, and he had 2 games on his computer. And one, I can't remember the name of it. It was like Division Manager or something. And I really liked this game because you could do a season in like half an hour with both of you playing. And he had this other game, Championship Manager. And he was like, no, we've got to play this. It's really good. And then we started playing it, and I was like, okay, yeah, actually, it's more in detail. It doesn't. You can't do a season in half an hour like we do maybe half a season an evening. And at the end of the night, he prints off the team sheet for me so I can take it home to study my team sheet. And it's like, yeah. So then the next night, I'm like, I've looked at my team sheet like all day the next day. I'm like, right, fuck, okay, I'm looking at the assists and the goals ratios and the possession and tackling. Like, it's that much in detail. Even though this game, it's all text, there's no visuals. All we're doing is buying and selling our players. Of course,
just playing with a database. That's all you're doing, isn't it?
Yeah, but it engulfed me in a way that no other game ever has. That game took over my life. From like I started as a casual Championship Manager player, playing it with my mate, and then we got a computer in my house. Like, I need it for university, but of course the first thing I do is buy Football Manager for it. Like,
I didn't play I did play Championship Manager, but
Championship Manager, I meant at that time when I'm talking, it would have been Championship Manager.
Yeah, I had similar Football Manager experiences, but maybe with the PlayStation there was one called Player Manager. But it might have been not that far away from that time, but that took over my life also. And only till EA stopped making FIFA Manager, I was doing the same thing. But yeah, the Football Manager games just take over your life like no. There's been stated cases of divorces happening in the world because of Football Manager.
In 1 year in the UK, it was stated in over 10% of all divorces.
What? 10% of all divorces?
It wasn't maybe the main reason, but it was stated as one of the reasons in 10% of all divorces. I mean, it is... I don't know, it's fucking... You know, it's funny because we could do a stream I could do a video on that and the psychological sort of effects that it has on you, but we won't go into that too much. But that's the trouble. People who've never played it, or the thing is, it only appeals to football fans. So it's very strange. Like, you try to explain it to anyone else, and they're like, "That's." I mean, even someone sits in the room and watches you playing it. It's not like watching you play FIFA or watching you play any game. Someone else sits in the room and they're like, "This is boring as fuck. Why would you play this?" And you're like, "Shut up! I'm just about to win the Champions League final."
Exactly, and it was. Because there was no... I think it was because there was no end to the game. You just wanted to get better and your team to get better and to win more and get more money and to build your stadium bigger and get more fans.
Oh, when you got 20 years into it and they built the stadium and named it after you, that was the days.
It was... I used to... I mean, we're jumping way ahead here, but we'll just stick to the manager games. On FIFA Manager, you used to be able to develop your own stadium. So just to keep buying the stadium, make it bigger and bigger and bigger, and build your academy team up and have a youth team go in and pick all the youth team players, and then you bring those players through. And just thinking about it now, it makes me want to shut this down and start playing it again.
Yeah, it's a game that it just takes all your troubles away. Like, once you're involved in Football Manager,
you can just fully engross in that game like no other.
Like 2 weeks, like just ordering pizzas, taking a shower once every couple of days, just playing Football Manager. It consumes you.
I was unemployed for a period of 6 months once, which one could look at and say what a dark time in my life that was, because I was living in my dad's spare bedroom with no money, no girlfriend, nothing. I used to go out once a week, which my dad paid for me for, and the rest of the week I used to go to bed at 7 in the morning when my dad was getting up for work, and I used to get up when he was coming home from work, and all I did was play Football Manager. And looking back, I used to think, what a fantastic fucking time that was. I used to love every fucking minute of it. I have played Journey, Daft Khan, and that's fucking brilliant. I've still got it on my PS4, mate.
Alright, so that's shooting your load far too early.
What is?
Journey. That's a relatively new game.
I didn't think you would have played that, mate.
I haven't played it, no. But
what you're about
welcome. You're welcome to talk about the games that you like. I haven't invited you here just to listen to me. I mean, I know most people would like that, but
but it was like what you said then. It was like you was aware of it, like you played it.
Because I said you shot your load too early.
Yeah, because you knew it was like supposed to be like.
I know it's supposed to be a really good game. I'm aware of what are supposed to be good games.
Yeah, but it's a bit of an obscure one, isn't it? Because it's not your AAA title.
Is it not?
No, it's like one of them that I don't know if you can buy the disc, but I bought it through the PlayStation store for like £7.
I do kind of have my ear to the ground when it comes to computer games.
Well, considering you work in that field, one would certainly hope so.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, I mean, maybe that's something we're not going to have time to talk. We're already 45 minutes in, and we're still in what are we in we're still in the Mega Drive era.
Yeah, well, let's see if there's any sort of honourable mentions for the Mega Drive we can go through to. Oh, yeah, I have to mention this, and I think actually I always should have said it before we talked about Football Manager, because it was probably the game that got me into kind of strategy and simulation games, which is like Football Manager you could describe as a sports game, but it's more a strategy and simulation game, isn't it? But Theme Park, did you ever play that?
I didn't get quite into that as I did Football Manager, but yeah, I mean, it was a great game because I think some people have mentioned it already in the chat earlier.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, we've not monitored everything, but yeah, it's a great game because you build your rides, but there'd always be that balance of setting the prices high enough and having too much salt in the fries and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but if you put more salt in the fries, they bought more drinks.
Exactly, but you had to balance it, didn't you? Because you didn't want to go too far. But yeah, that and SimCity, that was a good game.
Oh yeah, no, that's one of the ones I've got written down as well. I really enjoyed that. That's a game again I don't think I ever owned, but I played a lot of it with friends.
Yeah, I used to steal that off me friends. Virtua Racing as well is an honourable mention on the Mega Drive because me and my friend got it one night and we had to pay £60 English pounds for the disc because it had a chip in it to make the graphics better. And while you just carry on, Adam, I'm just going to nip to the loo and get another drink.
Okay. Right. Okay. So, yeah, Andy's left me to my own devices. So the last game I wanted to mention, actually, was it on the... We were talking about the Mega Drive, but also I think around this time was the first... Oh, this is when I got my... I didn't get to mention, guys, I also had the Atari Jaguar. I literally got every console that kind of failed. But I really loved Doom on the Atari Jaguar was amazing at the time for how it looked. I mean, it was gory as hell, but it was a great game. And then I had another game on the Atari Jaguar, but I can't remember what it was. And it was kind of like a spaceship game where you floated through the air, shooting at asteroids and other ships and that sort of thing. And yeah, again a shame because the trouble with the Atari Jaguar was it was more expensive than all the other consoles and it had less of a selection than all the other consoles, but it was more capable of better graphics and gameplay, but they never utilized it to its functions. Like, it's just such a shame that every Atari console absolutely failed because they always had the biggest ambitions but the biggest failures. I guess that's why I was drawn to Atari. See a parallel with Atari in my life. The big ambitions followed by failure. What was that, Andy?
Nothing. So, are we moving on to the next?
Yeah, well, I was just giving an honourable mention to the Atari Jaguar. But
yeah, I saw the picture. I don't think you ever played on one.
No. Yeah, they were very powerful consoles at the time, but they were like the gap between the Mega Drive and the Neo Geo, or am I thinking of before the Neo Geo? But that was like really expensive as well, wasn't it?
Neo Geo was like Mega Drive time.
Yeah, but it was meant to be amazing. It was like arcade game quality, but no one could ever afford one because they were like
no one ever had one. No one at school. No one ever had one. So are we moving on to the next generation now?
Yeah, well, we're getting quite modern. So, well, the PlayStation 1 or the Xbox 360?
It was just called the Xbox.
Okay, the original Xbox. Which...
But if basically, I can't remember how I ended up getting one, but I got a PlayStation. I think
that's because you're from up north, so someone just stole it, and then it was thrown in through your window.
Getting one for me. I can't remember what Taylor spun, But my dad bought me a PS1, which was just called a PlayStation, and they were very, very new when I bought one. And it was like, what is Sony doing? It was like pretty weird at the time because everybody was like, Sony are making a console, because back then you pretty much only had Sega and Nintendo. You had like Panasonic had a failed machine. I think Dreamcast was after the first PlayStation J-Reviews, I think. And I also bought one of them. I fucking loved it.
The Sega Dreamcast was, I think, right before the PlayStation 1.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think it was.
Or maybe not. Was that Sega's last roll of the dice?
It was as a console, yes. But I remember when I got the PlayStation, like I said, Sony they just took a gamble and it paid off for them, obviously. But I went round to my friend's house and there was a load of us and they'd never seen it before, and they were like, "What's this?" I said, "No, just fucking have a look." And I played them Tekken 2, and the fucking jaws dropped to the floor when they saw Tekken 2 for the first time. It was like, what is this? And everybody got into it. And then one of my mates bought a PlayStation. Then the next week, the other one bought it. And we all fucking played Tekken 2 and beat the shit out of each other and got pissed. And just, the battles we had on that game was fucking unparalleled.
But I'd played Tekken I'd been in an arcade with my family in Ireland. And my family in Ireland's really generous. So like they'd just given us a bunch of money, me and this other lad, to go and play on the Tekken machine in the arcade. We were like, this game is insane. And then it came out on the PlayStation. I was like, I've got to have that. But also it came, I remember my copy of PlayStation 1 came with Wipeout.
Oh yeah, that was a classic.
Yeah.
What a great game.
That game was really good. It's another driving game though, but
great soundtrack as well. It was like Underworld on it.
Am I right in saying that was the PlayStation 1?
It was, yes. That was one of the original sort of flagship titles for the PlayStation. Was Wipeout. Wipeout soundtrack, love it. Yes, we had Underworld on that Born. What was it?
Born Slippy.
Yeah. It was a little bit like the fucking the Trainspotting soundtrack, but yeah, just Tekken though. I'm going to harp on about that a little bit because it was just revolutionary for me and my mates. The enjoyment we got out of that was just phenomenal.
Yeah, it was like just, Street Fighter,
and even now we play
another level.
We play Tekken Tag Tournament you can get it on the PS4, I think.
Oh, nice. Well, I'll have to, if it doesn't cost money, hopefully they'll give it out on the free PS4 games to give out every month.
Yeah, you'd think so. Did you buy a PS1, Adam?
Yeah, I had a PS1, although I can't remember how I obtained it.
So you're trying to say it was illegal?
No, I think just like it was around that time I was in my... When was the PS1 released?
I think it was either 95 or 96. I think it might have been 95. In fact, do you want me to Google it while we're talking?
Well, yeah.
In fact, someone can do it in the chat. Anybody in the chat want to tell us what year?
Yeah, just make them do it, Handy. Make your slaves
Somebody fucking do it now. 95.
95.
Cheers, mate.
I think like I got mine around 96, and it might have been in some kind of elaborate swap for hash. So that kind of thing happened around those years.
Trying to think what else did we have on the PS1 that we used to fucking play? I think we just used to spend evenings playing Tekken. I think that was pretty much it. And we had
the PS1 had so many good games on it.
Oh, of course it did.
Tony Hawk's. And that game came out, like, because I'd got into skateboarding from California Games, and then Tony Hawk's came out, and I was like, oh wow, that game, the original Tony Hawk's games were fucking brilliant.
Oh yeah, and we had the original. We had some of the original survival horror games, like the original Resident Evil.
Oh, the first Resident Evil. I remember playing that with the lights off and being really scared.
Genuinely scary games. And we had some crazy games as well, like fucking Papa the Rapper and shit. And,
I never played Papa the Rapper.
It was a bit weird, but there was just...
Do you remember Time Splitters?
That was the PS2. That was the first PS2 game. It was made by the people that made GoldenEye, and I think me saying that, we've just missed out a very important console, haven't we?
Have we?
The N64.
Okay. The trouble is, I literally played GoldenEye once at my friend Alex's house.
God. GoldenEye is one of the greatest games
I
ever
hear
made.
this. Many people say it's like the greatest game of all time. It disappoints me that
It's definitely up there, because me and my friends had that. One of us had the console. I think I ended up with it once, but it used to have 4 control ports in it. So we used to play GoldenEye, Mario Kart, Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, sorry, Star Fox. I think that was all the 4-player games we played, but fucking hell. Manhunt, yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, see, I can't join in on the N64 chat because I never had it.
Ah, right, well, can't really go into that then too much. But yeah, sure everybody in the chat will know.
I was deprived, never having an N64.
Yeah, it was an amazing console, but yeah, GoldenEye, it's without a doubt the best ever game made from a movie. Just no doubt about it whatsoever. It was just phenomenal. Brilliant, revolutionary graphics, brilliant gameplay, brilliant multiplayer, brilliant weapons. It was just fantastic. There is no GoldenEye Online game on the PC. It doesn't surprise me.
Understandably, well, from someone who's never played that game's perspective, I can't argue. But 2 other good movie games were RoboCop and Terminator 2.
Terminator 2. I remember the original RoboCop on the Spectrum.
Or the Terminator game, but it was based on Terminator 2. The one where you had... Oh no, it was the original Terminator game. You had to go into Skynet and destroy all the cameras.
Yeah. No, that was... To be fair, that was a good game, but... one of the better movie licensed games. But generally... I mean, they don't really do it as much now, but generally speaking, all the licensed games, for obvious reasons, were always shit. The movie games were always crap, like Jurassic Park and whatever other shit they used to bring out. It was always rubbish.
Yeah. Well... Oh, wait, I still have more for the PS1, 2... games.
Oh yeah, we're not nearly halfway done on that.
Well, what other games did you play a lot on those consoles?
On the PlayStation?
Yeah, on the first one.
There was I think it was the PlayStation 1. The original Metal Gear, because that was pretty revolutionary at the time.
I never played that either.
It was just a very edgy, different game, and it just brought... It was the first ever real stealth type game, and it was 3D, and it was just edgy, and it was just amazing. Yeah, just a great game. And obviously you had Tekken 3 as well, which was fucking just phenomenal.
Well, and the first GTA was on the PlayStation 1, right?
Not GTA 3, which we'll get into later.
No, the first
that was on the PS2.
The top-down bird's-eye view GTA.
Yes, I think me think.
I remember playing that at my mate's house. I don't think I had it again, but at this time I'm not sure if I had any gaming consoles. But he had it, and it was insane running over people on the pavement and stuff.
Oh yeah, it was revolutionary. I mean,
revolutionary to run people over on the pavement.
No, but if you think about it,
to play as the bad guy
in a game kind of wasn't it?
Well, yeah, and just to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
Was kind of never the thing. Like the main theme was like you're the bad guy, so just kill people and rob people and do whatever you can. I think that was as well. Now the PS2 was. Did you play Max Payne?
I did, yeah.
The first one. I liked that game a lot. It was a bit like The Matrix at some point.
Yeah, that was. I'm trying to think which console I played it on. It must have been the original. I think it might have been PS2. You know. I do remember Carmageddon.
Was Max Payne?
Yes,
I might be wrong in saying this, but was Max Payne not from Rockstar as well? Or
it was. You're right. You're right. It was.
So did GTA 3 come after Max Payne and like the first GTA top-down games? Was it? It was like a combination of the two.
What do you mean a combination? I don't understand.
Well, I mean, like sort of Rockstar tried their hand at a top-down kind of different idea. Then they did the Max Payne thing. They're like, okay, we can develop a 3D shooting game. Let's combine cars and shooting.
Let me. Yeah, I never really thought of it like that. Can we just confirm Max Payne was Rockstar?
I'll Google it.
You can't. I'm doing it now. If you wanna. I knew the people that made Carmageddon were on the Isle of Wight. Is Carmageddon the one where you're in the big arena and you've all got the different cars with all the different weapons and stuff, and you just try and destroy everybody? Because that was great. I remember my mate introducing me to that. It was Rockstar. Skeleton seems to be well up on their computer games, so I tend to trust them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
but yeah, I never thought of it like that, Adam. You might have hit the nail on the head there, because it's obviously seems to amalgamate the two games, doesn't it?
Yeah, but Max Payne was it had a pretty dark storyline, the first one, if I remember.
Of course it did. It was about fucking blowing people away.
Yeah, but you kept going into these dream sequences that were quite horrible with a baby crying.
Are you sure you just weren't off your face?
No, that definitely happened in the first Max Payne.
I don't remember. To be fair, I don't think I played that game avidly, if I'm being honest. I remember I might have played a later version of it on the Dreamcast or something.
But, well, that was a good... it was a great game, but yeah, the baby crying was really off-putting.
So, we have... During the PlayStation era, we had the Dreamcast as well, which I personally got very, very early at launch. And it was the first console to have internet access, I think. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but it had a modem attached within the Dreamcast. And back then, I don't think broadband existed, and if it did, it was very rare. So you used to have to connect your internet via the phone cable. And it was shit. the console wasn't shit, but the internet part of it really was. They just went in too early. Yeah, Dreamcast met Windows. It had some kind of Windows affiliation. It was bizarre, but there was some fucking amazing games on that console. Oh, it was amazing. Echo the original, the Echo the Dolphin.
Oh, I played Echo the Dolphin. That was a nice game.
It was brilliant. I just used to you could just play with the dolphin. Just let it swim around and shit. It was amazing. Trying to think, the Soul Calibur. Has anybody played Soul Calibur? It was Tekken,
yeah, of course. I played Soul Calibur.
Made by the same people as Tekken, but you have weapons. I was fucking awesome at that game. Nobody could beat me.
Yeah, we'll see. We need to have some. We need to get Soul Calibur and fucking Tekken games on the go.
Oh, that'd be fucking amazing. That we'll have to see if we can find them. Won't you know there is a Soul Calibur game on the PS4? You know.
I didn't.
What?
I didn't.
Well, there is.
Right.
Because it was made by Namco that did Tekken. Because in one of the Soul Calibur games, you had Heihachi out of Tekken in it. And also, you're gonna love this, Adam. In one of the Soul Calibur games, Yoda and Darth Vader were in it.
Oh, bollocks. I like the old ones. Now they've gone all gay.
So, what with Choo Choo Rocket? Fucking hell. I forgot about that.
I don't know what's Choo
fucking Rocket.
What's Choo Choo Rocket?
I can't. Was it? It was like a bit of one of these Japanese type games, but I remember it being really good. I just can't picture it in my mind. Choo Choo Rocket, fucking amazing. Thanks for bringing that up. Does anybody ever remember Shenmue as well, which is like a revolutionary? I keep using that word, don't I? A revolutionary RPG game on the Dreamcast called Shenmue, where you were this guy called Ryo, and used to walk around this town, and everybody go, "Hello, Ryo," and you'd like just go in your home and make a cup of tea and shit, and try and unravel this story. But it was very, very deep. No?
No. I don't know that game.
So I take it you never had a Dreamcast, Adam?
No, I didn't, no.
So did you buy a PS2?
Yeah.
Sonic Adventure 2, yeah, fucking hell.
Yes. Well, I'm not sure if it was PS1 or the PS2 as well. Burnout was another game I fucking loved. Burnout 3
watching
especially.
Those crashes.
Oh man, that again, it was another game that was like about being sociable with your mates but just fucking them up as much as you can in the game. That, like, Burnout later, like, I only played it really single player, although the online was cool until the servers went dead as well, but quite a bit later. I'm going quite a bit ahead, but Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit, all the driving games made by Criterion were fucking amazing, and then they fucked up the whole franchise. Like Burnout 3. Did you ever play Need for Speed Hot Pursuit?
No.
Oh man, that game was awesome. Like, you played as both the police and the people trying to escape the police, and like you had so many set things you could get through each round. But like, the crashes and those games, like when you had a really good run, like driving real fast but smashing other cars out of the way, was fucking awesome. And
it was a great game. The replays on the crashes, you used to do it just to watch those.
Exactly.
The only disappointing thing was there was never a driver in it, though.
There has not been, and it's so disappointing. Like a proper game.
It's a bit like Gran Turismo without the damage on the vehicles. It was like, what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
That's what was great about the Grand Theft Auto 3, but we'll get to that in a bit. Something that Skeleton said that's really worth mentioning, that really kind of changed a lot of things, was that the PS2 was the first console to have a DVD drive. And at the time, I worked at an electrical store in the UK in Curry's.
You nearly said electrical.
Well, it kind of was if you'll listen.
Right.
I did get an erection at the time. I worked at that place when PS2s came out. So the very first day they came out, as you can imagine, in the UK, it was like a frenzy. And there was none available. They were going like privately for hundreds and hundreds, even thousands. And I was begging my manager to give me one. That much, we had to pin me up against the wall, like, and say, "Shut the fuck up, I'm not giving you one." And someone who ordered a PS2 didn't
I mean, I was
turn
just
up.
joking. This sounded a bit gay, but
Not that way, but like
your
kind of
manager's got you
threatening me.
pinned up the wall, and you're shouting, "Give me one," and he's shouting,
And he
"I'm not."
obliged as well. I've tried to block it out of my memory though, that bit.
Right.
But that's a story for later on. But anyway, so someone didn't turn up for the PS2 and they said, "We've got one here, do you want one?" And obviously I went, "Fucking yeah." So I managed to get a PS2 on fucking debut day. And I got a DVD with it. The first ever DVD I bought with it as part of the package was Jaws. And if you remember when you first watched DVDs, it was like amazing, wasn't it? Because you'd never seen a picture quality like it, and you could put the disc in and watch the film and skip sections. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. In fact, talking about the discs and those things, Skeleton Siski's just mentioned in the comments BMX Triple X. And yeah, I bought that just because each level you played through on your BMX, but you got to watch a strip show at the end of each level.
Yeah, pausing still DVD of images. Yeah, I remember buying Basic Instinct just for that.
Well, yeah, a lot of games are quite. I had this game, right. I tried to look it up in the list. I probably shouldn't mention I had it, but I tried to look it up like by typing random words in, but I couldn't find it because there's been a lot more recent games made in the same vein that are more twisted. But I had this game that was like you owned an adult movie studio, and it was all kind of cartoon like you didn't see anything, like it was all a cartoon. But it was kind of naughty and saucy and funny, and I was young, so I bought it and played it. But yeah, I was trying to find the name of it earlier, and I couldn't because I typed in computer game not Japanese. I typed in computer game where you make adult movies, and it just came up with loads of Japanese games.
This sounds like something you just made up as a fantasy game, like the most favourite game you could ever create, and you thought, wouldn't it be great if you could make your own pornos?
No, why would you want to do that in a computer game?
Well, because
In the game I had, it was kind of fun, but it was a bit like there was a lot of strategical elements to it as well.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. If you could manage a company within a computer game, which you can, and amalgamate that with being like into porn, which at the age of 15 and 16 anybody was obsessed with.
Yeah, well, basically that's what they did, this game. But this game, it was like cartoon. If anyone else has ever played it, it was like cartoon-like, and it was American setting. Like you had to buy your studio and everything, and that's it. Skeleton Siski has just said Honeycam Studio. So when I was trying to find the name of this game, it popped up with just Honeycam Studio, and I was like, well, that's not what it was. It wasn't a Japanese game.
That one must have escaped me.
Yeah, I can't remember what system. I think it was on the PC. It may be one of the very few PC games I ever bought other than Football Manager. I think it was on the PC a long time ago. Because I remember playing that around the same time I also used to play yeah, we must have been online when I had that game, but we were online like not enough to actually see any tits. It'd take you like 2 hours.
I remember the first two games I got that day it launched on PS2 were Time Splitters, which you mentioned earlier. I can't even fucking remember what the other one was, to be honest. I don't think it was much cop. Because launch titles were always disappointing, weren't they?
Well, I don't know. Well, PS1 we had Wipeout as the launch title though, so that was pretty awesome.
And generally, you had to wait a little bit to get obviously the
really
best
good
games.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to think, because I mean, we can now move on to one of the groundbreaking titles for PS2 was definitely Grand Theft Auto 3. Because as I recall, it was pretty early in the cycle of the console as well. because it spawned 2 other GTA games.
Well, not. I mean, that for me, that you've used the word revolutionary like it's a dick at a cock party this evening, but that game was revolutionary.
Oh, without a doubt. Maybe I've overused that word a bit too much. But I actually didn't say it that time. I said groundbreaking.
No, but I'm saying it this time. I'm whipping it out.
You're whipping it out. Well, you carry on then.
Yeah. That game, see that, like I said before, like I was always a casual gamer, like if I got stuck I'd just give up on a game. GTA 3 was the first time where I was like, I need to follow this storyline all the way through. This is coming out at the perfect time for me as well, because like I'm watching all these movies like Goodfellas and Casino, like every sort of 17-year-old boy goes through that period in their life, don't they, where they start watching gangster movies like, yeah, I'm a badass, and now there's a fucking video game to go along with it.
No, you're right, and it was the things that you could do in the game as well, and it was like your own. I think you've hit the nail on the head. It was kind of like being in your own movie, wasn't it? An interactive movie where you could do stunts, you could murder prostitutes, you could fucking smash cars up, you could just do, not that murdering prostitutes has been a fantasy of mine, but what I'm trying to say is, like you said, you can be a badass, can't you?
Yeah. Well, exactly. Well, that's the difference, though. Like, it's not. I mean, it is pure fantasy, but you can play GTA, and like everyone's had fantasies of themselves. That these are games that like kind of targeted their audiences very well and brought into their imaginations the best they possibly could have had with something like GTA.
Yeah, it was. I remember a friend of mine came round and I said, like, a few of them came round and said to one guy, "You've got to see this game." And he was battering someone he was battering a random civilian on the floor with a baseball bat. And he was in hysterics. He couldn't stop laughing for about 20 minutes. I've never seen someone laugh so much. And within a week, he bought that console just for that game. He didn't have a PS2. And it was just, it wasn't, I know what you're saying more of being in a gangster thing, but I'm talking more about the mechanics of the game. To be able to destroy the environment, like running over the lampposts and shooting windows,
yeah, that's
beating up people with weapons, nothing like that had been done before.
I think I think GTA took a lot from everything and made the best possible game they could have done at the time. Though it's like I was saying, like, you know, Rockstar had been involved in Max Payne and the top-down versions of GTA, which in fact, and I might have mentioned it at the beginning, I'm sorry if I have, but GTA was inspired by Lotus Esprit Turbo Challenge. The top-down...
And Driver 2, as Skeleton Saiski's mentioned as well. Oh no, it was Daft Khan, apologies.
Well, Driver again was a great game. I remember playing, me and my mate Graham, we sat and we played that game from beginning to end. So in fact, Rockstar, or the companies that later became Rockstar, were already drawing me into their, I've got to see what happens with this storyline. But later on in one of the GTA games, was it GTA 3? It must have been GTA 3. There's a mission where you basically kill the guy from Driver.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, there's a mission in I think it must have been GTA 3, where you have to chase after some guy and they're like, oh yeah, he does these jobs but he doesn't talk much and this sort of thing. And it's blatant.
Well, the main character in GTA 3 never said a word.
Oh, am I even thinking... Well, they gave you... Yeah. Yeah, Darth Khan's agreed with me, it was GTA 3, you have to kill Tanner from Driver.
No, I wasn't doubting you, I just don't remember it, because I never I didn't really. I was aware of Driver and I played it, but I never really got into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I really liked Driver, but then GTA came along not long afterwards.
And we might as well carry on with the GTA series on that console. Now, I think Vice City is in my top 5 games of all time. It's probably my favourite ever GTA game, I'd say. For what it did at the time, because it introduced motorcycles and it was set in a specific time period, and the atmosphere of the game and the soundtrack, it was just a joy to behold that game. And the missions, and you had a character that spoke.
It was set in the 80s though, wasn't it? I mean, it was literally like that game you could see was a direct take off of Carlito's Way and every other gangster Al Pacino movie. Scarface, Carlito's Way. They took all the best bits from those movies.
It was a fucking masterpiece, that game. It was, and you had who could you have better to voice the main character than fucking Ray Liotta?
It was, but I mean, even the supporting cast in that game was insane. Like even you look at like the new GTA's, they don't have an all-star cast like that, dude. They had fucking Danny Dyer in it.
Really?
Yeah.
He must have been 10 when that came out.
Nah. GTA, no, he wasn't 10. He's at least 10 years older than us now.
Danny Dyer?
Yeah.
Well, Kent Paul, Danny Dyer. Yeah, you're right. I know there was some big names in that, other than, who else did we have apart from Ray Liotta? I know Samuel L. Jackson was in San Andreas. Who else did we have in Vice City? Who was the guy that fucking owned the club that made you torture all the people? We had to, one of the missions, Gary Busey, one of the missions where you had to put someone in the boot and drive them round to shit them up. It was just fucking, some of the missions like that were hilarious. Oh, there was some really funny moments in it. It was just an amazing game. Jenna Jameson, fucking Candy Sue, fucking unbelievable. I forgot all about that. Fucking Jenna Jameson was in it. She was like the biggest porn star at the time, wasn't she?
Well, she's still probably the biggest name in porn ever.
Is she really? Do you think so?
Can you name another porn star?
I can name a few, but you'll never have heard of them.
So exactly. But whereas we both know who Jenna Jameson is.
Good point. Good point, well made.
I do my best.
But yeah, I mean, do you agree with that assessment about Vice City?
Yeah, I mean, well, Vice City was amazing, but every GTA game has been amazing.
Oh, of course, everyone's at least.
But Vice City was the first. But even the Bird's Eye View games were we're just throwing revolutionary out there all the time now. But they were always groundbreaking.
No, you're just using my words all the time, aren't you? No, you're right, but I would suggest that Vice City is probably the most popular out of them all. There was something about it. I think it was because it was created around a certain time that everybody at that time had an affection for. Everybody loved the 80s and the atmosphere that it sort of...
Yeah.
A bit like the Black Mirror episode of, what's it called?
San Junipero.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people related to that because it was in the 80s. Me and my friend watched it at work for the first time, and we're both childs of the 80s, and we just fucking loved it, and it was just the atmosphere and the way it was made. And it's same with Stranger Things as well. People fucking love Stranger Things because it was set in the 80s.
Everyone loves the 80s. It's true. But yeah, a violent video game in the 80s, you can't ask for much more, really.
No. And it was done. You see, the thing about GTA games is, I don't know what it is, or why it is that way, but There is nothing. Everything is done perfectly. There is no cutting corners. There is no expense spared. There's not one thing that you could look at any of them games and say that's not good enough, or that's shit, or I'm not happy with that, or the controls are crap, or that graphics is shit. It's the perfect computer game. It's just, I can't think of anything in any of the games that you could criticise it for. And how often do you get that with a video game series?
Well, there have been better games since, but never before.
Oh yeah, definitely. But like even now, I was watching a quick video before about. I won't go into this too much about the Star Wars game that I was whinging about a few weeks ago because of the microtransactions.
Battlefront.
Yeah, they're bringing the microtransactions back. So that
Yeah.
Buggy2988 made a video about it, and he used GTA 5 as a benchmark and said that that's what they want to do. What they want to do is create a game like GTA 5 that basically is still going strong and making millions of pounds every year. But what they've done is they've just completely fucked it up, because what Rockstar did is they went to all the expense and trouble of spending 6 years making the game perfectly. It couldn't have been any better.
No.
They couldn't have done a better job in it. It had everything. It had the story, a massive multiplayer game, loads of side missions. The soundtrack, I believe, could have been better, but that might be because of personal taste.
But it's still an extensive soundtrack with all the radio stations.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I just mean there wasn't as many of my songs that I like in it. But
there's
that's
only a couple of radio stations I like. But then occasionally I'll tune into the country and western station or something and be like, this isn't too bad.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying it's shit. I'm just saying it was my least favourite soundtracks of any of the games. But it doesn't. What I'm trying to say is that game was so fucking good. It's no wonder that it's still making money now. And the thing that they don't grasp, well, they do grasp it, is we've had this discussion before, Adam, haven't we, about the microtransactions within GTA 5. The amount of free content that they put out, it can almost justify the microtransactions, because what they're saying is, look at all these new game modes we're giving you, look at all the new heists we're giving you, look at all the new vehicles and weapons. They're bringing them out every month. So you wouldn't honestly mind paying for a microtransaction every now and again, would you?
Not compared with the way that EA do their I mean, the thing with GTA is you can grind, but the grind is fun. Like you can. I've never. Oh no, I think I've made one microtransaction into GTA, but like I've got everything more or less. Okay, I haven't got limitless money. I can't buy everything I would like to have in it because there's some amazing cool things. But I've got a lovely selection of amazing cool things in it that I really like, and I've not had to pay any real money other than the price of the game itself to get that. Whereas EA don't do things like that. EA do loot boxes.
Yeah, EA are fucking the shysters of the games industry. They should be fucking destroyed. They are, it's just, Skeleton Sisky just said microtransactions are only okay if it doesn't lead to pay to win, and that's right.
Mm-hmm.
In GTA 5, it's not really like that online. You can still enjoy the online mode. I've stopped playing it because I don't think you get quite enough reward from not paying for microtransactions, but you can still enjoy the game.
Yeah.
You can still enjoy the online mode perfectly well without doing microtransactions.
Once you go into like a multiplayer game or something, the system's all fair, because in most cases everyone has their weapons available, or the same weapons available, or the same cars available to them. And even if they haven't, if you're a good driver, you can still win the races in a standard car. But
oh yeah, definitely.
With EA, it's about it. The difference between GTA is, like, in GTA you can buy a card and it says you can have X million dollars, and you can know all the things you can buy for X million dollars. But with now I don't know how it's going to be with Star Wars Battlefront, but with the FIFA Ultimate Team system, which obviously I'm very familiar with.
Really?
Is that a surprise? You pay money, but you don't know what you're going to get for your money. You can literally, and you are, not only that, because it's a franchise, so a new game comes out every year, so you can pay money into it, and that's all they encourage you to do, is to pay more money to get the better players. To an extent you can say, okay, well, good players can have a crappy team, but you want the players you want to play with, and they make it such a grind to get to, and in my personal experience, like, the reward values in the packs are so low compared to what the packs actually cost. It's absolutely ridiculous.
No, I think it's manipulation on a massive scale, and Skeleton just said loot boxes are gambling for kids, and in Belgium, they were even it was upping. The government was suggesting it should be actually classed as real gambling. I think.
Well, it is, because you're using real money.
Exactly, but I think the reason it ended up not being is because you don't get monetary rewards. You're not. In other words, you're spending the money, but you're not getting real money as a reward that you could use as currency.
No.
See you later, Jay. I think he's doing.
So because that money's going direct, because you know there's no chance of getting the money back, that makes it not gambling.
No, well, that's what they're saying. I believe. I might be wrong, but Darth Khan's just said we need to pull it back to the PS2 era.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But to be fair, we're done in an hour and a half. We're gonna have to do a part 2. Adam, I can't carry on much
longer. No, I'm absolutely shattered. Like, Andy couldn't understand something I said earlier, so, and in my dulcet tones, if he can't understand me, then we're in desperate trouble.
Exactly.
So I think we should probably, after our moaning about loot boxes, I think we should probably call it a night.
I don't think we're the only people to have made a YouTube video complaining about loot boxes. I would imagine there's quite a few out there.
Oh no, I'm sure we will go back into that again in the future. I mean, that's something I stand strongly against.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about just that, but maybe we'll just. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll just have a couple more minutes on loot boxes, and then we'll just quit it. But if that's all right, because there's no point going into the PS2s again. But it's a contentious thing, this loot boxes, and even in the GTA 5 realm, for all the praise I gave that game, it's like what you said before, Adam, about the races and that. Speaking technically, you could spend all the money that you wanted to get the best car and have a better chance at winning the races to make even more money and buy more things within the game. On the surface of it, I don't think that's that bad, really, because I think, is it fair to say that you don't have to spend a penny in GTA Online and still enjoy it? Yeah,
no, it's absolutely correct to say. You haven't done any microtransactions on there, have you? And you've had a good time?
No, I don't think so. No, I haven't. No, but to be fair, it did piss me off because I spent £1 million buying that cocaine factory and then spent another $1 million to get it to the maximum efficiency, and I wasn't making enough money to buy the things that I wanted, like the cars, and do you get what I mean?
Yeah, but that money might come slowly, but the thing I actually love about it, I kind of thought about, I had this idea that I would book a week's holiday off work and I would live GTA Online. This was when I first got my PS4, and I was like, now I can stream video games whenever I want, because I've been watching all these people do it, because I had to do it for work, and it's like, I really want to stream more video games. I was like, I want to live GTA Online, so literally I will get up in the morning, play GTA. When I go and get something to eat, my character will go and get something to eat, but then between all the times I'll just do racing, join heists, do the things I enjoy on GTA, then only finish GTA, go to sleep in the evening, and then wake up and do the next thing for a week, and then see how much like money and how living, but constantly having the headset on, so I'm talking to everyone in the world with me at the same time. In the GTA world, not like I've gone mad.
No, I thought about the same thing, but on just a day, not a week. I thought about booking the day off and just spending the whole fucking day on GTA Online, and just the prospect of doing that was just so enjoyable. Is it right to get so much enjoyment out of a fucking computer game?
Yeah, they've made it that good that it is. I've had some great times just going on there and chatting to people. Before, I used to just get really drunk and just go and talk to anyone that was playing.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some good laughs on GTA, haven't we, with the lads? And and we've streamed some funny things. It's been great, isn't it? I think we'll talk about it in the next one, but
yeah,
we didn't even touch upon how online gaming changed things as well. But we'll do that next time.
Yeah, I think for this evening we should probably call it an evening. But it's been a lot of fun. So thanks for joining us, everyone in the chat, and thanks for joining me, Andy.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Take care, everyone. Good night.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.